Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Pretend City Children's Museum's parent webinar series for our winter session. Today, we will be talking about how to have conversations with your child about race. And we have our special guest speaker who will introduce herself in just a second. So my name is Adri Van Wantergem, and I'm the Assistant Manager of Education Programs for Pretend City. And I'm joined here with Anna Page, our Director of Education as well. And let's jump right in for today.
Hello, my name is Wilma, and I'm really honored to be here with you today. I wish it were in person, but we know that right now that's not a possibility and that this is the next best thing. We're going to talk about how to have conversations with our children about race and about differences in general. It's a difficult time for all of us as families, supporting children and helping them to learn how to be kind, inclusive, and anti-bias. I want to thank Anna and Adre for inviting me here today. If you have any questions, please talk to them. They can help you. As this is recorded, I can't have a question and answer time. I'm here representing an organization called Educators for Peaceful Classrooms and Communities. We do a lot of parent, teacher, and community education around a wide variety of issues in helping children develop as positive, self-confident citizens. I'm a trainer with EPCC. I'm also an adjunct instructor at Pacific Oaks College. I began working as a preschool teacher back in 1971, and I served as the chair of the Santa Cruz Child Care Planning Council, and I recently returned to the council several years ago. I sat on the California Association for the Education of Young Children's Board of Directors for several years as well. EPCC is how we refer to ourselves. And on this slide, you will see our values, our vision, and our mission. We hold peace, social justice, collaboration, fairness, compassion, respect, safety, equality, and equity as the core values of our work. Every child has a fair, just, and safe life in the home and community is our vision for the future and is what we work towards. And I believe that this brief workshop for all of you will help you join me in partnership to create that for your very own children. We are committed to anti-racism. We have seen much over the last year or more of what pain and fear can be created when people do not understand and accept each other. As educators, we work with children, families, educators, and community to promote peace, justice, and equity. The events of our most recent past only bring to light again the hundreds of years and thousands of horrific acts of violence in which white bodies have exploited black bodies. That is a quote, white bodies and black bodies, from a wonderful book, My Grandmother's Hands, and also from another wonderful book, White Fragility, both of which I highly recommend. Now is the time for this racist culture to change. We as educators, activists, have the responsibility and opportunity to help make this change possible. Therefore, as we continue on this journey, we commit to take responsibility to study, learn, and unlearn our own racism and how the institution of systematic racism impacts our lives and work. So I want you to know I don't consider myself an expert. I consider myself a partner with you on this journey of becoming truly anti-racist, of raising anti-racist children and changing the culture of our country. We pledge to implement personal changes, such as being open and listening and hearing and studying, acknowledging our own emotions, and recognizing and making repairs when we commit microaggressions, things that we really had no idea we were saying and doing. Working to heal ourselves from societal and personal racism, and understanding our historic and relational privilege. We commit to review and then implement our organizational change as we work to become more anti-racist by reviewing training materials, by reviewing our values, vision, and mission, and policies and procedures, by creating and or adopting policies to support anti-racist work, and by developing a tool to monitor all EPCC work through an anti-racist lens. We recognize and implement these organizational practices by holding anti-racism work as a priority, just like this workshop. By being willing to hold ourselves and each other accountable while treating ourselves and others with compassion. By recognizing and addressing microaggressions, recognizing and committing to making repairs. And I am encouraging all of us through this workshop to make these same commitments for ourselves, for the groups we belong to, and for the children. We commit to working with other organizations when appropriate, just like working with my museum. We listen with humble mindset to hear best practices from other groups, stepping back to let others take leadership roles when appropriate, building trust through hearing at a deep level and paying attention to cultural and other cues and body language from participants. I wish I could do that with all of you right now, hopefully in the near future. Taking responsibility for our own behavior, viewing our collaboration model as one possible way to support allies, and finally, to let it haunt us, as said by one of our founders, Chris Lamb. The rest of this workshop was originally created by a dear colleague, Julie Olson Edwards, who's one of the co-authors of a wonderful book for teachers that was written and published for NAEYC, Anti-Bias Education for Young Children and Ourselves. And she has given us permission to use her slides to carry the work of anti-bias education forward. Dimensions of diversity. Well, we all know when we say diversity, we talk about skin color. We also talk about economic diversity, about ableism, both physical and mental abilities, by countries of origin, by religion, by sexual orientation, and gender identity, by the wide variety of family constellations, and by culture. We're going to focus mostly on racism today, but we will take into account all of these issues as we go through the slides. I love this slide because it really shows the difference between equality and justice or equity. And the truth is that they are not the same, as you can see in this slide. If we gave each child exactly the same, if we treated them equally, would that smallest child be able to watch the baseball game? No. Equity and justice means providing for each what they need to be successful. Things that children need to thrive in a diverse and inequitable world. They need a sense of self. How does the world think of me and my family? Connection to others. Who are you? And how are we alike? And how are we different? Safety. What is fair or unfair? What hurts me and what hurts other people? And finally, empowerment. How can I stand up for myself? How can I stand up for others? And how do we make the unfair fair? 4 things children need to thrive in a diverse and inequitable world. And these are the same needs that are addressed in the 4 anti-bias goals from Julie's book. Goal 1, identity. Children will demonstrate self-awareness, confidence, family pride, and positive social identity. You are your child's first and most important teachers. Their teachers at school, the wonderful people that work at my museum, are only there to support the education that you're giving your children. Helping your children to know who your family is. What is your culture? What are the things, the values that your family stand for? How we treat each other, how we listen to each other, how we respect our elders, and what delicious foods we eat. The second goal is diversity. Once I know who I am, how do we help children learn to express comfort and joy with the wide diversity in the world? How do we help them to use accurate language to express human differences and to form deep, caring, and connected relationships? So that's our responsibility as adults, is to help give children the language when they notice someone is different in some way, that we help them to recognize our differences, not be afraid of them, and to connect with people who are different than we are. The third goal is that children will increasingly recognize unfairness, or what we call injustice, and then have language to describe it and understand that it hurts. How do we help children to see that unfairness hurts? So when your child pushes another child away and says, that swing is mine, How do you help your child to understand what that other child might be feeling? How might we find a way to work this out that is fair for everyone? The fourth goal is activism. Once we understand what is fair and what is unfair, how do we help children develop the skills and empower them to be agents against prejudice and discrimination? How do we help them learn how helping someone else is our family value? Getting to know someone who is different from us is our family value. Each goal moves to the others. All four goals are essential tools for children to thrive. The ABC goals are for adults as well. And many of the workshops that we do, like the one that you're listening to right now, are ways that we as educators can help our community to grow in all areas of human development that we can then share with children. Whether it's social problem solving, whether it is how to create a peaceful environment, developing home school partnerships to raise peaceful children, how to prevent and intervene in bullying, and grandparents. How do we help grandparents be a part of children's lives? So if you or an organization you are a part of are interested in learning more, please go to our website, Educators for Peaceful Classrooms and Communities, like us on Facebook, or send us a tweet. We'd love to hear from you. After that plug, I'll get back to some of the topic. Silence teaches. You know, when we're uncomfortable, we often choose to not say anything. And what we don't realize is we're teaching children things by our silence, just as we teach children things by what we say and do. Silence teaches fear. The subject is so dangerous that mommy and daddy won't even talk about it. Silence robs children of a vocabulary to talk about or ask questions about what's confusing. If we don't talk, if we don't provide children the words to talk about anti-racism, to talk about how interesting difference and diversity is, how important sharing with others is, then our children will not have the language to understand those things as they grow. Silence also forces children to figure things out on their own, and they have a very limited understanding of the world. I often tell a funny story about how a dad took his son on an airline flight to go visit grandparents. The boy was so excited. They got to the airport, they watched planes taking off up into the sky. It was their turn to board the plane, and they got in their seats and buckled their seatbelts, and off they went. And 2 hours later, they landed in the city where grandma and grandpa lived, and the plane came down and landed. And the little boy cried, and he was so upset. Daddy, Daddy, you promised we were going up to see grandma and grandpa, and yet the plane came down and brought us right back to the ground. He imagined that going up in an airplane up to visit grandma and grandpa was up in the sky somewhere, because that was his limited understanding of the world. We have to help children develop a broader understanding. And the only way we can do that is by talking with them. Silence forces children to rely on other children or the media for information. And you know that children learn very quickly, and they can learn things that you wish they wouldn't if you don't talk with them. When you hear them say something that's inappropriate, it's the time to have a conversation, not to admonish them, not to punish them, but to have a conversation. And as far as the media is concerned, young children should not be watching the news. And as they get older and you feel it's okay for your children to be watching the news, please watch with them so that you can explain things to them as they see it. So, talk about it. Break the silence. Conversations matter. What kind of conversations, you might ask? Well, we call them brave conversations because we get a little scared as adults as well. The first thing we need to think about is make it safe in the moment. So when something comes up that you need to talk with your child about, doing it in front of a lot of people, doing it in front of their friends, that may not feel very safe to your child. Doing it in a way that you feel safe and your child feels safe is important. Find out what the children know. You know, as educators, we talk a lot about what we call open-ended questions. Asking children questions to find out what they're thinking, what they know, and what they believe. So if we give an example that you are at the park and your child sees another child in a wheelchair, and his first thing is, "Oh, look, mommy, see that funny boy?" First, make it safe. Walk away. Help your child into a safe place to have the conversation. And then find out what they know. Well, tell me, what did you see that looked funny? Well, he's in this chair with big wheels. It's sort of like a sit-down bicycle. Yes, a wheelchair is sort of like a sit-down bicycle. Do you know why he's in that chair? No, Mom, why is he in that chair? I'd like a chair like that. Well, that's a wheelchair. It's a special chair for children or adults whose legs are not working. And it may be that their legs will never work and they'll always be in a wheelchair, or it may be that they got injured and for a while they need to let their legs heal and get better, and then they won't need the wheelchair anymore and they'll be able to run around like you. Would you like to go up and ask that child if he'd like to play with you? Tell the truth. We want to sugarcoat things, or we feel children are too young to know about that. So let's go back to that playground. And there's a boy playing, and he's wearing a dress, and he's carrying a purse. But you know that he's a boy. He has a boy's haircut. His mommy calls him Solomon. And the boy says, "Ew, why is that boy wearing a dress? That's for girls." Make it safe. Step away from the situation. Find out what your child knows about whether those clothes are only for girls or not. What does it mean? What do they think it means that a boy is wearing a dress? And then tell the truth. The truth for a 3-year-old is Clothes fit on any body, and that boy is trying out a dress. He knows that it's a girl's dress, but he's trying it out. For a child who is slightly older, you may say, some boys are thinking about how they'd like to be girls instead of boys. So, of course, it depends on the age and developmental level of your child. But don't ever tell them something that isn't true. Just limit it, keep it simple for their development. Speak the justice issue. Talk about what's fair and unfair. When you're back at that playground again and your child sees a little white boy push a black boy off the swing and say, these swings aren't for you, they're only for white kids. Make it safe in the moment. Find out what the child is thinking about what he just witnessed. Maybe you'll need to provide some words, or maybe they have a lot of words already, some that are correct and some that aren't. Tell the truth. That boy is learned that whites are better than blacks. Somewhere he learned that. In our family, we do not believe that's fair. It's hurtful. That black boy, he is the same size. He has 2 legs and 2 arms. He has a voice. He might even be your friend. And speak your values. We believe that children in wheelchairs, little boys who like to dress up as girls, or black children as well as white children, all are okay. In your family, you may say they're all children of God. In your family, you may say all people are created equally, even though they may have different abilities, make different choices, or have different skin color. Your family's values. And help children do something to make it better. Should we go over and see if that little black boy would like to play with you on the teeter-totter now that he's not on the swing? Would you like to go up to that child in the wheelchair and invite them to play with you? Find a way to help your child learn to be a powerful advocate. You need to identify and manage your own feelings. That's a difficult one sometimes. You may have some pretty strong feelings about gender issues. And the important thing is, before you have the conversation with your child about gender issues, that you calm yourself, that you feel centered, and that you're going to have an age-appropriate conversation with your child. Why are people marching and protesting, your child may ask. They may see any of these people walking down the street in a Black Lives Matter parade, a demonstration. See them waving their arms and chanting. It's important that you find out what your child is thinking. Is this something that seems scary to them? How can you reassure them that these people are expressing their opinions? Most important, the only way for children to really develop within themselves an anti-racist perspective on the world is for them to have interactions with others of different races. If you live in a Black neighborhood and your children only see Black people, they are going to develop opinions of whites that will not necessarily apply to all whites. Just like if your children grow up in a white neighborhood and never get the opportunity to play with and talk to other Black children, they will never understand that all people have things about them that are the same and things about them that are different. Our skin may be different. Maybe they're Latinx children and your children are Black, and the Latinx children are speaking Spanish. Well, guess what? We speak different languages, but do we all like to run around and kick the ball? We have things that are the same and things that are different. And the reason people are protesting is when they feel they are not being treated equally. Key ideas to guide your interactions. Here's some helpful hints that I hope you'll take away. Invisibility erases identity and experience. Visibility honors reality. That's what I just said. If children never have the opportunity to meet people who look different than them, they will never learn how to honor the reality of those differences. Point out differences and talk about them to your child. When your child says something that they've heard that is racist, ask those open-ended questions. Don't jump to, don't say that, that's bad. What do you mean by that? What do you think it's like? And then make sure you go back to making it Black people visible. There are hurtful, unfair things that happen. What is unfair can be made fair. What is hurtful can be healed. We're all the same and we are all different. If you do not know how we are the same, you cannot honor and accept me. If you do not honor how we are different, you do not know me. Have a conversation about same and different within your family or relating to your child's friends and classmates. Use children's books to start conversations. There are hurtful, unfair things that happen. What is unfair can be made fair. What is hurtful can be healed. It is important to listen to your child when they come to you with a hurt or a question. Ask them what they think. Ask them to brainstorm with you possible actions that they can take. Help them to understand that in your family, all languages, all ages, all beliefs, all families, all sizes, all genders, all religions, all lifestyles, all nations, all colors, all cultures, all individuals are safe here. Anti-racism means no bystanders. We are either racist or we are anti-racist. There's no such thing as saying, I'm not a racist. I am an anti-racist. I speak up, I speak out, I make a difference. I hope you got some things that will be supportive for you. I encourage you to keep studying, keep learning, keep exploring. Please sign up for our newsletter, which you can do at our website, educatorsforpeacefulclassroomsandcommunities.org. You can visit us on social media. And additionally, on our website, there are many, many resources for you as families. In recent months, we've added extensive resources on how to help your children deal with the results of the COVID shelter in place. We have many new resources on anti-racism and anti-bias, including extensive book lists, children's book lists for children of all ages. It is so easy to use a book to have a conversation with children about important issues. Some of our partnering organizations you may want to check out are Peace Educators Allied for Children Everywhere, the Rosemary Griner Peace Library, which is the library itself is housed in Santa Cruz County at Cabrillo College, but the website is a searchable library where you can search for an age group, a language, an issue, and find books that meet your criteria. And then you can talk to your public library or your local bookstore or Amazon to find the book. Teachers Resisting Unhealthy Children's Entertainment, Truce, is another one of our partners, and the Orange County Human Relations. That is in your own neighborhood, as well as this amazing library and the people who work here as a resource. For more information and parenting resources, visit pretendcity.org. Join us next time for Building Inclusion and Diversity. I will be back. I'll be working with Anna Page from the museum, and we will talk more about different kinds of diversity in more detail and how to have those conversations with your children. I hope this was helpful. I hope that someday in the future, I can meet you in person at the museum. Thank you. Bye-bye.